Hello and hello everyone. Welcome once more to our show, Back to the Basics. Did you know Back to the Basics by Dr. Magde? The last time we were talking about cholesterol and we had a lot of viewers inquiring, wanting to know more about how these things happen. So today I'm going to focus on meat and proteins. So what is a protein? Protein are one of the substances that are utilized by the body as building blocks. The other substances, they are lipids. Lipids are fat or carbohydrates, or what you normally call starches. So in the body, these proteins, which come mainly from meat, they are broken down to what we call amino acid, and it is utilized in that form called amino acid, in a pool of amino acid, which is stored in the liver. The body is capable of forming other amino acids. So most amino acids we need to get from our food, the main source being meat, but other amino acids, the body can't manufacture that. So there are 8 essential amino acids that are found in meat and other plants. And I'm happy that the essential amino acids, we also found them in nuts, we also find them in spinach, we also find them in pumpkin seed, sunflower seed, things like that. Those are the things that we used to eat in abundance when we were young. So as I said, the amino acids, they are then stored in the liver to be used when the body needs them to build blocks, to build the body. But take note what happens. If the liver is full, all those excess amino acids, they are stored in the body as fat. So the body is very clever. Everything that we eat in excess, whether it's carbohydrates, whether it's fat, whether it's meat, whether it's whatever it is, if the body doesn't need at that time, it stores it as fat. So the body does not need as much meat or as much as amino acid as it needs carbohydrates. So if people can remember, normally they will show you the proportion of what you need to eat. Meat was always the least, with carbohydrates or starches being more. So the body doesn't need as much meat as we are eating nowadays. So where do we get meat from? All of us, we know that we get meat from animals, which could be cattle, which could be pigs, which could be chicken. So we get meat from animals. But there's something that is also happening nowadays, is that we also eat what I call man-made meat. What are man-made meat? Man-made meat are meat that man has mixed up to make something. So the commonest man-made meat is bacon, which is found from pork. The other one is ham, salami. In our country, there's something called panoni, and some of those spreads that we use that comes from meat being mashed or mixed. So those I call them man-made meat because it is meaty things that are made by men. So as I said, I'm talking about proteins and meat. So understand that meat is not the only source of proteins. There are other proteins that we get from eggs, that we get from fish, that we get from milk or dairy products. But I also said we also get proteins from plant. So if somebody is a vegetarian, they can still get the essential protein from the plant that I have said. Those, the seed, the nuts, cabbages, broccolis, beans. Here in Africa, we used to eat a lot of starch with beans, and we used to be very healthy because then there won't be any excess fat in our diet. So as I said, I'm talking about protein and meat. I told you that protein is a building block, and whatever excess protein that is there, it's stored in the liver as amino acid pool. But if it's in excess, it's going to become fat. And normally when we eat a lot of meat, there are some products that will happen in our body. But before I go to that, meat or any flesh food, they need a lot of energy for digestion. That's number one. So if you eat a lot of meat, it means you won't have as much energy as somebody who eats a lot of fruits. How does it happen? It's because meat is so hard. So our body needs a lot of energy to digest the meat. And hence, after eating a meaty meal, we tend to get sleepy because all the energy is sapped. It is utilized for digestion. And you can see that even in animals. Lions, after they've had a kill, they don't eat for many days. They just lie there because the digestive energy that is needed for that meat, it's a lot. So I'm going to talk now about challenges of modern meats. I call them modern meats or man-made meats. But even the very meat that we buy, there are challenges to that. Number one, cattle or stock is injected with hormones. And those hormones, they've got effects in our body. Why are they injected with hormone and other things? They're injected with those hormone and other things that we don't know to make them grow faster because there's a need for meat. Nowadays, people want to eat meat every day. So they have to make the cows grow faster. So they give them hormones and other substances to help them grow faster. But the other challenges of modern meat is fat. What we have found is that a lot of meat, a lot of cattle, if they are not grown naturally, if they don't feed naturally, they tend to get fat. And hence we have a lot of fat in this meat that they are grown so fast for us to have meat that we need. But the other challenge is that of acid in our body. And I'm going to come to it later on because the digestive process of meat, it needs acid to break it down. And hence, when people have eaten a lot of meat, sometimes over the weekend, Monday, they will come with their painful leg gout due to what? Uric acid. So, this uric acid is excreted by the liver. But our liver cannot work as much as the liver of animal, as much of the liver of lions. So we end up having this uric acid going into our blood, causing a gout. And the other challenges of modern meats or man-made meats is the salt. Most people have eaten bacon and know bacon is very salty. You've eaten ham, salami, they are very salty. Of course, salt is put in there to preserve them, to make sure that they don't rot easily. But unfortunately, salt in the body has got other consequences. The other things that we get is preservatives. Preservatives are there to make sure that your ham, your salami, whatever artificial meat that you eat doesn't spoil so easy. But unfortunately, the preservatives, they cause allergies and they are also linked to cancers. And the other thing that we need to know concerning especially meat is that meat does not have fiber. I did a lesson on fiber and I said fiber is that hardened substance that we get from plant, and fiber help our system to be regular. So therefore, the other thing that is a challenge for eating too much meat or eating food which don't have fiber, it's constipation or hemorrhoids. So I've also talked, when I was talking about cholesterol, of the types of fat, the saturated and desaturated fat. Unfortunately, in the meat, there is a lot of saturated fat, and saturated fat can lead to cholesterol. The unsaturated fat, we don't find it in meat. We found it in fish. We found it in plants like olives, etc. So these are the problems of eating a lot of meat. We get saturated fat, which result into cholesterol, or saturated fat, which are bad fats, which result into us having a high cholesterol. So some people say we've got to eat meat because if we don't eat meat, we will be anemic. It's not totally true because the minerals that you need, the iron, the potassium, you can get it in green vegetables like spinach and broccoli, and you won't be anemic. But unfortunately, our body is not meant for us to eat a lot of meat as much as we are eating now. So if you don't eat too much meat, you won't get anemic. If you eat meat, even if it's twice per week, it's still enough for your body. And other people say, oh, I will suffer from vitamin B12. The same thing, if you eat your meat, you don't have to eat a lot of it. You won't suffer from vitamin B12. But also, if you eat your green leafy vegetables, you are going to get your iron, you are going to get your folic acid, you are going to get all the minerals that you need. And most of the time, people who've got vitamin B12 issues, it's not because of the diet, it's because of the absorption. They don't have enough gut probiotics. They don't have enough bacteria that are needed in your stomach to get these essential elements. So now I'm going to talk about the problems that are associated with eating too much meat or eating flesh food. Number one, I have already said meat does not have fiber. So if you are the type of person who eat meat and bread and pap, all those things, you won't have fiber in your diet, and therefore you can suffer from constipation or hemorrhoids. Number two, eating a lot of meat, you can get too much acid into your system, and we know it. We've seen people with gout because over the weekend or when they've been eating a lot of meat. And also, this is the source of there being a lot of arthritis, hip replacement, knee replacement. It's because our body environment is very acid and it affects our joint. And the other thing, when you eat too much meat, it means you've got less energy. As I explained it, that the digestion of meat takes a lot of energy from your body. And I gave an example of that lion. After eating meat, they will lie down for days because now they don't have the energy to run around. I've already talked about cholesterol, that it's a problem of eating a lot of meat because in the meat, we've got saturated fat. Of course, the saturated fat is not only in the meat, but we can also get it from other sources like biscuits, cakes, and things like that. But here I'm talking about specifically meat and proteins. And the other things that I've also talked about is hormones. And hormones are linked to cancers, especially breast cancers, prostate cancers, because animals are giving hormones to make them grow faster. They are giving other things, they are injected to make them grow faster. And these are the type of meat that we are exposed to. So the more you eat those meat, the more chances of you having all those things. And the other thing that is a problem is obesity. As I've already explained, that everything that you eat, your body is going to take what it needs, your body is going to store what it needs, but if the storage is full, now the body is going to convert everything into fat. It doesn't matter whether it's meat, or it doesn't matter whether it's starch or vegetables. If you overeat anything and the body is enough, it will convert the the excess into fat. And this is what makes us to be fat. So what are the benefits of eating more plant protein? Because sometimes people say we've got to eat more meat because if we don't eat meat, we won't have protein. But our bodies are not meant for us to be eating meat every day. But let me go to the benefit of eating more plant protein. Because when we grew, we did not eat meat every day. Meat was a delicacy for us on weekends or Sundays. We used to eat a lot of vegetables because there are benefits in vegetables. Hence, people were healthy. Chronic diseases were not as rampant as they are now, because right now we are having a pandemic of chronic diseases. So if you eat more plant proteins, and I said you get proteins from a whole lot of plant, cabbage, spinach, peanuts, all the seeds, the pumpkin seed, sunflower seed, you get your plant protein. So benefits of eating more plant protein is you get minerals and vitamins that are in plants. You don't have cholesterol because no plant has cholesterol. You don't get any acid, and you have more energy. Why more energy? You have more energy because vegetables in the body digest easy because they've got water. Fruits in the body digest easy because they've got water, a lot of water. So your body does not spend a lot of energy when it digests plant vegetables or fruits. So I've already said there are a lot of health conditions that are linked to us eating too much meat, to us eating too much man-made meat. And I said man-made meat is those type of meat that man has mixed something to make, like ham, salami, panoni, all those things. I call them man-made meat because they are not real meat, natural meat, but man-made meat. So I'm going to repeat. If you eat too much of this man-made meat, they are very salty. Hypertension. They've got a lot of fat. Obesity. They've got a lot of fat. Cholesterol. Acid in the body. Gout and arthritis. No fiber. Constipation and hemorrhoids. Cancers. Breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer. We don't even know how many cancers are linked to us eating too much meat or eating meat that has got a lot of preservative and a lot of salt and a lot of hormones. And the other thing is fatigue. People, instead of dealing with fatigue, they go and buy energy drinks. But it could be because of your diet. If you are having a challenge of fatigue, a challenge of constipation, a challenge of hemorrhoids, a challenge of gout, a challenge of cholesterol, check your diet. What are you eating? Thank you so much for being with me, for listening. Dr. Magde. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye. See you next time.